Hello, it's Honey and I'm back today to do an update video. This one's going to mostly cover the response from the gender clinic and my first assessment, what's going to be happening at my second assessment, which I have an appointment for on the 27th of November. And then the next thing as well I want to go into is a question that I have for other trans women and people and how they deal with a certain form of dysphoria that I'm experiencing at the moment. I'm hoping to get some feedback and some help on that. But I'll go into the gender clinic. Start my first assessment, which I had at the beginning of this month, went pretty well. I had my assessment, and then I had some time with a psychiatrist afterwards, which was my own choice. I found the assessment was alright. The doctor was okay. They ask a lot of personal questions, which is to be expected, but I felt some of the questions were very intrusive, beyond what was required, I felt, for the assessment. I was asked about my history, my gender autobiography, which I did a video for. They weren't interested in that at all, and I find it much easier to speak in this sort of format than I do to put it down with pen and paper. So it's a little bit disappointing that they were so dismissive of it. They actually, well, not they, he actually laughed about it, and it wasn't great. So I'm going to have to redo that gender autobiography in neat. But coming from that as well, like he asked a lot of personal questions, as I say, some of which were not required, I felt, such as asking me about the reasons for my divorce, and I told him that, you know, it was a separate thing, and that it wasn't because of my gender. Yeah, he came back to it about 3 times, asking reasons for about my divorce and why I got divorced, and I'd already said that it wasn't important and it was personal between me and my obviously my ex-wife. It was pre-transition and all the rest of it, so it wasn't really relevant, and to be honest, I don't have all the answers. You know, it was her that ended it, and I didn't get all the answers from, or any answers really, from her as to what the problems were. Beyond, you know, I offered to go to counselling and things, she wasn't interested. So, you know, it was very invasive about things that I didn't feel were important to my gender story. I understand for some people, like, marriages do fail because of the pressures of transition and things, but I wasn't transitioning at the time, so it really wasn't the key relevant factor as to why our relationship didn't make it. So I don't see the point in being questioned so repeatedly so much, and it was. Other than having to rewrite but having to write out my gender story in neat rather than have it in a video form, which is obviously a little bit disappointing. It was alright. It was all pretty straightforward because I'm already living and working and everything else in my new identity, and I've already changed a hell of a lot of the paperwork. Really, my questions and answers were mostly just the questions that I said that I was going to post in my previous video. I put most of them to him. I did forget to ask to have my appointments scheduled for Fridays, although I did ask at the reception, and I asked the psychiatrist to remind the doctor afterwards, and they said they'd put notes on it and then they would. And then my second assessment is now booked for a Tuesday this month, so it's half my own fault because obviously I should have told the doctor face to face, but at the same time, like, obviously those notes don't count for squat because it didn't get relayed. So I now have an appointment for another Tuesday, which I've had to take more time off of work for. Other than that, it was okay. They did confirm my private doctor's diagnosis of gender dysphoria. I've already received a report back from the GiC in written form from that doctor that did my assessment there. saying that you know, he believes I have gender dysphoria and that I should be treated medically for this. So that's obviously good news, along with the one I already have from my doctor. That already gives me 2. My next assessment will be a 3rd, so you know, I think after that it'll be pretty obvious that obviously I do have gender dysphoria and that being treated and transitioning is the correct path for me. So that's good to have all that information back, and I'm happy that that's happened. The next part of the assessment, I chose to see a psychiatrist to help me out with a problem that I've been having, that I will post at the end of this video anyway, so it won't be a big secret. However, I found the psychologist or psychiatrist part of it, for me, I'm not saying it will be for everyone, but for me it was no help whatsoever. You know, there was very little feedback. I posed the question, I tried to work through it in front of the psychiatrist. I hoped that I would get either helpful suggestions or knowledge of how other trans women had dealt with the same issues, or just an interjection or an idea of how to think differently about the problem that might lead somewhere. But nothing like that happened. She just sat opposite me. Well, that's it. She just sat opposite me, and I sat there and just blabbed on for another hour about the problem, which, if that's all it took, would be fine, because I would have worked it out myself by now. I mean, I literally stew over this problem so much, and it affects it's affecting my health, both physically and mentally, and I want to solve it. And so another hour of sitting in front of some random stranger working through the same problem wasn't going to get me anywhere unless they had some new input, which, being a psychiatrist at a transgender or gender identity clinic, I thought that they might have, but it was really no help whatsoever, and just talking through the same problem with no input once again was never going to get me anywhere. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm done with that. I'm not revisiting the psychiatry side of things. The courses and support groups that they offer at the gender clinic, unfortunately, require they're an all-day thing, and would be on a Tuesday or a Thursday as well. Bearing in mind the gender clinic is 169 miles from my home, so well over a 300-mile round trip, and the time it takes me to get ready in the morning. In order to be there for a 9 AM start, I would have to be up at like 3 AM. I'm obviously not going to get up at 3 AM, get myself ready, go to Daventry or Northampton gender clinic, and then come spend, and it is an all-day thing. I think they said it was like 9 till 5. So, and then do all that and then drive back. I would just be a wreck. I'd be a wreck, and it's unfortunate because I did ask if you can attend half the workshop, because it's in 2 parts. So like one half, it's one bit up until midday, and then it's another bit for the final 4 or 5 hours or whatever. I did ask if I could attend like one half of it, and they were like, no, you know, it's a course, so it's an all-day thing. So unfortunately, due to scheduling, I won't be able to attend that. I have found a local support group run by TG Pals, which is a well-known countrywide sort of organisation or charity for trans support, and get together every fortnight, one located at a university site and the other one located at a church hall. There is no affiliation with the church other than the fact that it's their hall, so you haven't got to worry about there being a religious angle to it, you know, and pray the gay away sort of stuff. But no, it isn't like that at all. It's just because they are a member of the group, and they help organise it, and then on top of that, because it takes place at a hall next to the church or part of the church, then that it makes them in partnership with. So I was unnecessarily worried there. Been to 2, and so that's 1 at each site so far. So it's too early to say how much I'm going to get from it, if anything. The people seem nice enough, and to be honest, at the moment, just seeing some people that are like me is enough. Just knowing that beyond a computer screen and YouTube and all that, just knowing that there are other people out there that face to face that you can talk to that are dealing with the same problems as you. Whether or not they have the answers to those problems is sort of neither here nor there. The fact that there are other people sharing the same difficulties as you and going through the same process as you is enough for now. Just to know. You know, if it doesn't lead anywhere or I'm not getting anything from it in a few months, then maybe I'll stop attending. But like I say, at the moment, seeing other people that I can relate to is enough, and I'll keep you posted on how that goes. If it does turn out to be really good as a resource, obviously, I've already stated that it was DG Pals, and you can look up ones and see if they're operating at anywhere in your area. So going on to my second assessment, it'll be the medical assessment. They'll also do case history with me again, which is basically they'll run through those same interview questions I had at the first one. I assume that they obviously expect similar responses, and they want to make sure that another healthcare professional agrees that you're obviously just suffering with gender dysphoria. But the fact of the matter is, I have the same case history questions, and then I'll have a physical, which, as I stated in the last video about these assessments, it will be very intimate and very in-depth physical, including an eye test. They sent me away from the assessment this time with a list of blood work they wanted done, very similar to the list of blood work that my gender GP asked for originally. Both the first one were in much more in-depth details. It was fat levels, cholesterol, kidney function, which they don't normally include, sugar levels, like to check for diabetes. All these sort of things are on there with this first set of blood tests. So I've had to get that completed. I don't expect to see anything different than I would normally after you know, having had it done previously for the gender GP. It's just worth mentioning for all you folks that might be having come off the back of your first assessment worrying about what blood work it is they're asking you to have done. Ready for the next thing is just have my blood work results that they've asked for, make sure my story is written up in neat, and just be prepared for if it's something that you struggle with, for quite an invasive examination of your body. If you've got people, I suppose, and you are super nervous about it, you can take +1 for support. If it's something that you're really super conscious about, then obviously take somebody with you. You will be examined by a medical professional, and there will be somebody else in the room as well, to, you know, for safeguarding purposes, to make sure that there's no funny business and all the rest of it, and that everything's above the board, so you don't have to worry about anything like that. The final thing I want to bring up today that I tried to work through with a psychiatrist but didn't get anywhere was something that I've been struggling with for a while now. I find, and I'm asking for your help with, as any transgender women out there that have had to deal with this, and that regularly go and use these spaces, might have knowledge and answers as to how they've dealt with it. So basically, I've always been a bit of a gym bunny. Years and years and years ago, when, you know, from my late teens, I started down at the gym. Initially, because I've never really gotten on with my body, I thought it was just because I needed to man up, and I very much used the gym to bulk up, and unfortunately I have changed the structure of my body quite a lot from doing that, and caused a lot of secondary development, I suppose, and got quite a back and a neck from it. As the hormones have come on, I've wanted to get a much more sculpted feminine body that they help to give you. However, I found the further that I've gotten into my transition, the more I struggle with the idea of the gym and actually going to it. And it's not the changing that's a problem. I don't even engage in the changing rooms, in case anyone's thinks that's going to be my major hang up. I literally get changed at home, go attend my class, and then return, and then deal with all the changing room and bathrooms issues at home. So that is not the problem. There's no problems there at all. The problem is presentation. Down at the gym, I can't have my hair extensions and various bits and pieces in. So I'm not comfortable with my hairline, and I'm not really comfortable with the thickness of my hair in certain places. It didn't used to bother me anywhere near as much as it does now. The more time that I am authentic to myself, the more it hurts when I'm not able to be. So I can't just ignore like I used to, like the brief period of time that I was down at the gym and people would just continuously, like, you know, misgender me and just continuously refer to me by male names which were never even my name. It's quite strange how I don't mention my name down at the gym, because I don't feel confident running around telling everyone, oh, you know, I'm Hayley and, you know, I'm a transgender woman, when I'm stood there and I've got no hair extensions in, no bits, you know, no clip-ins to cover anything that's thin or anything like that. And I haven't got my makeup on, and just I'm not presenting my best, and trying to explain, even like now, like trying to explain to people sometimes that you're transgender and all the rest of it isn't the easiest thing to do, but it's a lot more easier to do when you're coming from a place of more confidence, when you feel better about yourself, because you know you dressed well, you've got you know, you've got clothes that you identify on with, you've got your jewellery on, you've got your makeup on, you've got all your hair pieces and bits and bobs in, and you know, all your clips, you know, put in things to help, you know, make you feel as feminine as possible and present the best that you can. And obviously down at the gym I can't do that, and the more I go, the harder it's become to just not be able to present feeling correct, and even bring up the issue of my transition down there. Is just, I've only told one person, one instructor down there, and to be honest, it didn't make anything any easier at all, which is what's made me not bother to tell anymore. If anything, it's made me less likely to attend that class than more likely. So I don't know what to do. I just don't know what to do. I can't, in spite of the fact that, you know, usually I've got my earrings in, I've got my fingernails done. I don't change any of that. I've got my earrings in, I've got my fingernails, like my nails painted or whatever. I've got boobs now, but, you know, they're not big, no, but I have breasts now, and, you know, people just don't pay any attention, and they don't stop for a second to ask, oh, what's going on here, or any of that. They're just literally just like, they just pick some random male name that they pull out of their arse, and they're just like, you know, oh, yo, Fred, and you're like, I was never Fred before, now, or ever. And they're like, oh, yo, Fred, how you doing? Or just any random male name, and they're just like, yo, how you doing? Oh, I haven't seen you in a while, and all the rest of it. And you're just like, they don't just, nobody stops, nobody questions anything, and it's not their place to. It's just, if anyone actually bothered to ask me since I changed my name, like in 2016, the end of 2016, if any of them actually had bothered to stop and ask me for 2 seconds, like, what is your name again? I would actually just come out and be like, oh, it's Hayley. And then I know that would lead into questions that obviously wouldn't be great to answer and keep having to explain, especially while not presenting as good as I would like, but it would be something. So basically what I am asking is there any transgender women out there that have had the same sort of issues, where they don't like the way that their body or features, like without makeup or hair extensions or whatever, where they're not able to present the way they want, and how they've overcome those difficulties down at the gym. Whether it is just a case of tackle it head on and just be like, walk in and just tell people, like, whenever they get things wrong, the same as I would do at work or anywhere else, I suppose. But whether just to keep correcting people like that, or if there's a way that they found that even that they were able to present more feminine and be more comfortable even in a situation where they can't present comfortably and as feminine as I'd like. So if there is anyone with the answer to that question, and I know there are plenty of trans girls out there that still enjoy the gym, then I would love to hear your responses to that. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you again in the next video. Thank you.